Twyla, you going first? To set the floor, because we have to do the pro tem, right?
Okay.
Why don't you set the stage for us?
All right. We'll call this meeting to order. Ready to do the pledge to the flag? Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So I'll begin with the roll call. Counselor Ward?
Here.
Counselor Colby?
Here.
Counselor Brunel?
Here.
Counselor LaRochelle?
Here.
And Counselor Lunt?
Here.
We have 2 absences. Is there a motion?
Please. Yes,
Second.
motion to accept their reasoning they can't be here tonight.
To excuse their absence and Counselor LaRochelle. Second. All those in favor? Order passed, 5-0. And the next order is to appoint a chairman pro tem.
Make a motion to nominate Cassie Colby.
And I second that.
And all those in favor? And the motion passed, 5-0. All yours.
Next item.
Is good news and recognition. Order 2019-41C, the Lisbon High School Cheering Team Proclamation. Shall we have them join us?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome. Excellent. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Lisbon High School cheering team have made the community proud as they finished first with their score of 62.6 while competing for the Mountain Valley Conference Championship. And whereas the Lisbon High School cheering team went to the Class C Southern Regional Championship where they finished first with a score of 70.2, prevailing over their rivals, Shakopee and Monmouth. And whereas the Lisbon High School cheering team continued to prevail over their northern and southern rivals, scoring a 72.6 at the state championship. Whereas the Lisbon High School cheering team claimed its 3rd state title with their performance at the state championship. And whereas the Lisbon High School cheering team also took home the Class C Southern Sportsmanship Award. And now, therefore, we, the Town Council of the Town of Lisbon, wish to congratulate and thank the Lisbon High School cheering team for their fine representation of the Town of Lisbon while winning the Class C State Championship title on February 9th, 2019. Dated March 5th, 2019. Is there a motion?
I make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? And with the chair, 5-0. And with the chairman pro tem present. And Nicole, do you have a couple of words you'd like to say? Here's a...
You covered it all. They had a phenomenal year, and as you can tell, they cleaned house.
All right, let's see if I can do this. Yeah, maybe we should do that. How nice. Everyone see it. There we go. From important to town report. Oh, I'm sorry, let me get out of your way. Excellent job. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. You're welcome. All right.
Okay, next item.
Is the public hearings. The first public hearing is a special entertainment permit for the Flux Restaurant.
I'll open this public hearing. Are there any comments? Seeing none, I'll close.
And next item is the special entertainment permit for the Railroad Restaurant and Pub.
I'll open this public hearing. Seeing no comments, I'll close.
And the next item is the audience participation and response for agenda items.
Anybody?
Good crowd tonight.
I know, right? Okay, seeing none, next item.
Consent agenda, Order 2019-42, to approve the municipal accounts payroll and payroll warrants. Number 2212019 for $4,439.40. Number 2222019 for $100. Number 52 for $183,008.54. Number 53 for $17,706.81. Number 2282019 for $14,717. Number 352019 for $354,226.38. The school accounts payable and payroll warrants. Number 20 for $803.06. Number 1044 for $336,236.16. Number 1045 for $13,334.18. Number 1911 for $189,493.06. Plus the minutes of February the 19th, 2019, and the special entertainment permit and liquor license for the Flux Restaurant, the special entertainment permit and liquor license for the Railroad Restaurant and Pub, a special hearing to set a special public hearing on March 19th for the medical marijuana establishment license for BBB Pharmaceutical Alternatives, LLC, and 2 CMP poll permits. Poll number 49 for the Bodenham Road and the poll at Ridge Road and Wing Street.
I make a motion to approve.
A second?
All those in favor? Order pass. 5-0. It's just setting a public hearing. Were there any abstentions? No? Okay. And the next item is council orders, resolutions, and ordinances. Order 2019-43. The fee schedule amendments.
Yep. Mark Stevens, the Parks and Recreation Director. We're asking for a couple changes, one for the Moxie vendors and the other one's for the Parks and Recreation summer day camps. I asked Dan and Lynn to come up and talk about the amendments for the vendors. Yeah, you can start with vendors.
Dan Lehman, also with Parks and Rec. Had a great meeting with the Mox Festival yesterday and a lot of good ideas and everything. Looking to make a few changes. Took some of the changes from that, and I know some emails went out to a couple of you recommending with your recommendations on the changes. The biggest thing is that we're asking for is to try to get the school groups and nonprofits in town for Lisbon to receive a free of charge to be there to help our community, to make the Moxie Festival part of Lisbon and have more. We only had 3 last year from the school groups and even the nonprofits, and I'd like to bring back groups like the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts and the school groups and everything, and I think this is a way to get them back, so that's one of the requests there. And then just some small changes with the Friday vendors, just because the way it was set was across the board, where this kind of matches Saturday now, is the new recommended changes. So, any questions or anything?
You received the amendments by email today, and just wonder if you guys have any questions.
May I?
Yes.
Jim? I think it's a great idea. The idea of just trying to get the local people involved, and I think that's been something that's been asked for a long time, is to hopefully Moxie Days actually benefits the local community, especially the nonprofits and school. And I assume it's probably been a larger discussion, just making sure it does balance out, equate, so financially it won't be a burden. But I think at the end of the day, that's kind of what the festival is for, right? To benefit the community. So I think it's a smart direction if we can make it all work.
Madam Chair, I know you had at least one question associated with content. Why don't you cut to the chase, because I know it was what you and I heard being participants at the Moxie Festival meeting last night. So why don't you?
Yeah, the only question that I had was in regards to the Friday night, where it was straight across the board, it was $100, and then it looks like for out of town craft vendors, it would increase to 125. The same for from Lisbon food vendors, and then it would jump to 150 for out-of-town food vendors.
That's only if they don't meet the deadline.
Right. But then
Count.
on Friday night, out-of-town food vendors increased by $25 to 125, and then the craft fair vendors decreased to 75.
On which one? I'm very sorry.
The Friday night before May 17th.
Okay. So from Lisbon, 75.
Yep.
And then out of town, 100.
Right. I was just asking for clarification why you brought it from 100 to 75 for that, and then 100 for out of town to 125.
The reason is that from 100 to 125, we talked about are in Lisbon. We're trying to get Lisbon communities in, and instead of across the board, I was just trying to match Saturday. Saturday was very much craft vendors. I didn't change that at all. Saturday was 75, and then 125, 100, 175. So when you looked at the chart, it looked a little funny that it was cheaper on Saturday, which seems like the busier day.
Right.
Where Friday, the craft vendors are paying
more.
$25 more.
Okay.
So I was just trying to be consistent was the idea. And the other change that just for the microphone that we're looking at was a 2-day discount, trying to see can we get more people there Friday and Saturday, and because it is 2 different locations, some people don't like to do that. They pick one or the other. And the hope was to get more vendors on both days. So that's where also they can kind of hopefully get more people there on both days. So more involvement.
I'm good.
Madam Chair?
Yeah.
Are you
I'm good.
okay? Let's address the day camps real quick.
Sure. So the only changes we're asking for, proposal for the day camps, is reducing the part-time fee for residents. We don't really even advertise for part-time people. We offer it for those who spend a lot of time on vacation or are only going to be using up to 15 days for the summer day camps. We've had a request by the Recreation Committee based on things that they've heard in the community that they felt that it was too high last year. Remember last year we added the trip fees to the day camp fees, and that was something that was just too much for a person that's doing a 15-day membership for the summer day camps, whereas the other fees, everything else is staying the same. All I did was I added the $100 trip fee to them. It looks like that's why it looks like it went up $100.
Okay, you confused me there. Thank you.
So that I just did it so that it's actually on the fee schedule. Last year the trips weren't even on the fee schedule, so I just added this year.
Okay, thank you.
Still the cheapest deal in town, really.
Or out of town, which is why you get people from out of town.
Right. Yeah, we get a lot of out of town residents. So.
Right. Madam Chair, same question as last night. Are you good with content associated with this? If not, I'd like to have you entertain a motion, and you be it.
Yep, I'm good with it. So I will make the motion to accept the fee schedule as presented.
I will second that.
All those in favor? Order passed.
Thank you so
5-0.
much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next. Have it.
Adam. Order 2019-44, Emergency Generator Project Bid Award.
On February 27th, we opened the bids for the emergency generator project. We received 2 bids, one from Electrical Systems of Maine in the amount of $68,500, and the other one from Regional Electric LLC for $127,000. The major difference between the 2 bids is Regional Electric quoted a bid on a 200 kilowatt generator instead of what I requested in my bid specs. Originally, when I sent out the bid specs, I put up to a 200 kilowatt, and then I found out from FEMA that I had to actually state the actual size that we needed. So I worked with Electrical Systems of Maine. They spent a lot of time on site over at the high school looking at the electrical room to see exactly what our needs were, and they came up with a 130 kilowatt generator is what we would need to power up that area of the school. So I resent out my bid package on the same day with the updated information. And
Regional didn't adjust, is what I'm hearing.
no, they felt that wasn't going to be high enough. large enough for what we needed, and I strongly suggested that they go on site and look at the electrical room, because the plans that I sent them for that room were not the as-built. They were just the original plans, but what ended up being built was different than the original plans. I don't know if they ever did go on site, but Electrical Systems did, and they were very confident that a 130 kilowatt generator would be able to fund this project. So that's what they bid on. The last time I came to you in order to go out to bid, I told you, I put in a memo how much we had in grant funds. I had added up my 3 grant funds by mistake, so I was off by $3,000. So we have $33,625.89. As you know, the council designated $20,000 from unassigned fund balance, and then we also have $10,000 in grant match. I called Electrical Systems of Maine today to see if they would work with me on the price if Public Works put in the generator pad. And he said absolutely. He said if they do that and do the trench digging, that I could take $5,000 off in the quote. So that will be my proposal tonight, to award the bid to Electrical Systems of Maine in the amount of $63,500, using the grant funds in the amount of $33,625.89. Also, the $20,000 that you've already designated from unassigned fund balance, and the remaining amount of $9,874.11 to come from our grant match reserve. And that will complete this project.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
And basically, the motion actually carries over the idea of the 63,500 versus what was originally in our packet.
Yes.
Any discussion?
No, I have no issue with the source ESM. They put in the one for Lewiston.
Yep.
I wanted to ask the question about regional to make sure that they had the opportunity. I'm hearing that their opinion is the difference in this, not that we actually went with one vendor over another. So
Right.
I'm completely good with it.
I think, if I may, I think a couple of good things about this. There were some different proposals initially looking at diesel and propane, but the idea of going natural gas is definitely a win-win.
Right there.
It's awesome.
That's the other thing I had to do for the EHP. I had to state which one we were going to go with. So Lisa and I made the decision to go with the gas. It just makes sense because there's gas that
And
goes
it's-
into that building. So I had to revise again because I was going to get a quote on both, gas and diesel, to see which one came in cheaper, but I couldn't do that in the end. So
A lot
we
less
ended up with the
long-term
gas.
maintenance with that natural gas for sure. And again, I think one of the things that's important, the size of the generator is not trying to run the whole school. It's basically
No,
the requirements is just for lights and heat and bathrooms into the
Right.
in the gymnasium area. So
Okay.
I think we're good.
All those in favor? 5-0. Order passed.
Next item.
Order 2019-45, the Finance Department Assistant.
I believe the motion is tonight is to actually table that to a
Table that
future
to another.
discussion, so
Yes,
I'll
move
be
it.
present.
Move to a new agenda.
Yes.
Okay. The next item would be Order 2019-46, the road name request, Moxie Lane. This is off Main Street between 117 and 121.
I believe that's already been approved subdivision. That's actually gone to the planning board, and now just naming the road for the 911. I'd make that motion. It's a unique name. I'm not sure where they came up with it, but yeah.
Need a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor? 5-0. Order passed.
Next item.
Order 2019-47, to set the charter amendment public hearing for April 2, 2019, and to adopt the order for the special municipal election.
And I'll make a motion for discussion.
Second.
Okay. Open for discussion.
And I believe this is basically the idea of getting rid of our, everybody will be at large for the council. Is that what this is? So we're getting rid of
The
ends of
districts.
town.
Ward 1 and Ward 2.
Ward 2, correct. Thank you.
I did receive one complaint, and the fact that it's still, for the listening public, was pointed out that the intentions of the wards to represent both sides of the town equitably. I find it unfortunate that somebody would actually still think in that terms after the number of years for one consolidated school and all the efforts that we have, but I did say that I would bring that information forward.
Okay.
All those in favor? All those opposed? That's a 5-0. Order passed.
Next item.
Under other business, the council committee reports. Begin with school.
Councilor Albert is not here. Planning board.
Planning board had their meeting last Thursday. BBF Pharmaceuticals that we had earlier tonight for setting the public hearing on that passed. And Village Street applicant for Mr. Lafley withdrew his application to get some different design recommendation for an architect to be hired. That's pretty much it, Don. Did I miss anything?
The comp plan, I think, is in the mail.
Yeah, comp plan up. So based on the workshop that we had, they continued the public input. What, 21st? 28. 28 is the second date for the public hearing. So if anybody's interested in that, by all means, get the information that night or to the town manager or planning board to be able to be heard, to be concluded in that final wording.
LEC.
Well, the hopes is to actually have a meeting towards the middle end of next week, where we're going to do the updates on the projects that we're got going and coming up. So if anybody is interested, please stay tuned or call one of us, and we'll be able to make sure that date's out there, and anybody who wants to attend can.
Conservation Commission.
There are no minutes. I know they're working on a variety of topics. The thing that I would offer tonight is Richard Main is actually at Mass General. He has had his open heart transplant. So
Oh, wow.
he's on the road to recovery associated with it in the last couple of weeks. He seems to be doing well. He's getting around a little better. Anything else on that you might have heard most recently, Mark?
He had a freeze pop today.
Right. So we're hoping to have Richard back firing on all cylinders, because it's been frustrating road for him that he can't do some of the things that he's been wanting to do. So everybody that is thinking associated with that, maybe friends with him on social media or whatever, reach out, because he's definitely responsive to that.
Well wishes sent to him. Recreation, Mark, do you want to?
Recreation.
Other than, Moxie.
We had a meeting yesterday at 6 o'clock before our Moxie meeting, and we went over all of our 2020 goals, 2019 to 20 goals, and them the annual report, and also went streamlined through the budget. So they had a chance to review that. That's about it. Talked about basketball, but you don't want to hear that part of it.
Okay. County budget.
County, we got nothing.
Library.
Nothing new to report?
And Councillor Crawford is not here to report on Water Department. Town Manager's report.
We had a couple of grant opportunities come across our desks this week. One is for composting, and I sent that on to Mark, and we're gonna look at that and see if it makes sense to apply for it now. We just got to do some logistics, so we may be coming back to you at a future meeting to get permission to apply for it. And the other one is a grant for culverts, and we think will fit that Bartholomew Street. That's going to be quite a big project for the town to fix what's going on out there. So I contacted Ulver Associates, our engineers, today, and sent the grant information, and she said that there's going to be a workshop coming up on that, and she thought that that would fit because she already went over and looked at that area. So she's going to take the lead on that with us, and we're going to work with the Public Works Director. So we'll be coming back to you at some point once the grant paperwork comes out, to see if we can apply for that grant and get that taken care of over in that area. So there's, recently we've had some really good grant opportunities come out. So we're going to try to take advantage of as many as we can. That's all I have.
May I?
Yes.
Is that a match grant, or is that where does that actually come from?
The one from the culverts, I'm not sure if that's a match. The one for the composting, it is. That's a 25% match.
But is that
But
like
it
a
will
state,
take- huh?
state or federal program as far as for the culverts?
That's, the,
Not
I
makes a
think that
difference,
that's
yeah.
a federal. I think that came down through the EPA. I'll have to
Interesting.
double check that. I think it is a federal.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Moxie Festival update.
Good evening, I'm Julianne Baumer, and I want to just give a brief update. First, I want to give everyone an update on the committee. I could not ask for a better committee of volunteers, so we have a passionate group of people in combination with the Parks and Rec staff. Expertise, commitment, dedication. It is a group of Lisbon strong citizens who share a common vision of putting on a fabulous festival. For 3 days in July, Lisbon, Maine will be everyone's hometown, and I'm really proud of the committee that's working to make that happen. A lot of good work has been done to date, and I anticipate this will continue through July 14th and beyond. Part of the specifics of this report, we have a tremendous increase in our Facebook engagement over the last 6 weeks. Press releases are being picked up by multiple statewide media groups as well as art groups because of the nature of the selected art. Heather Cronin is doing a great job as our social media guru. She has a really steady hand on the trigger, and so she really knows how to manage strange and sometimes offensive questions that come up about Moxie. Lisa Ward is probably going to reach some new heights with the recipe contest this year. There are some preliminary plans in place for putting together a cookbook. She has a 10-person committee that's helping her out, so this is very impressive. And I think that Maine being the foodie state that it is, we will get some more excellent media attention, so I'm happy about that. I think the parade is in able hands with Councillor Ward and Carlton Barnes. We are continuing to execute on our theme of Moxie Goes Artsy. We've had the selection of a gentleman who produced some art. He is known well in sort of his own art venue. He created a mural in Providence, Rhode Island that is no longer there. It was an underpass mural, but it was one of the #1 things people in Providence loved about the city. So he's from Rumford, and he's going to help us with some community art projects. Marcia Crawford and a new committee member, Kirsten Eubank, have a very funky plan for a chalk walk and expanding the art walk, as well as Mr. Batchelder, the artist, who is going to help with a community larger version of his mural. And all of our other committees are chugging along. We are on track with sponsorship. We have about 150 ask letters have gone out at this point, and we've raised almost $8,000 in sponsorships. There are new sponsors in the pipeline, and our fingers are crossed that within the next month we will continue to make it rain. The next phase of our fundraising will involve some personal contacts. Mark and I are going to go out and meet with local businesses because not only do we appreciate the larger $2,000, $2,500 donations, we would like to see small businesses in town make small donations so that we can say that we had 43% participation from our local businesses, so that there's a sense that it's not just something that the town does, but this festival is something that the entire community does. We have some new events. There is a Sunday night movie night being planned and sponsored by Five County Federal Credit Union, thanks to Dan Lehman, who has worked with getting that group involved. And so Sunday will be expanded, which is something we've really wanted to do so that we can say we truly have a 3-day festival. There's also going to be a Miss Moxie pageant on June 1st, and that will select some young Miss Moxies to represent the festival in a variety of media opportunities and then be in the parade. Vendor status, well, I guess we're all set with the vendor fees, and we are very happy about that. And I just wanted to thank the council for your confidence in the work that we're doing, and I want to thank you for selecting me to do a job that has been very fun, and I couldn't ask for more fun with fun people. So thank you very much. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
If I may. My daughter's an art teacher in Southern Maine. She contacted me the next morning after, and she said there's a whole connection of media between the art teachers in Maine. She said it was just a buzz. So I mean, the idea they picked, and it's kind of an interesting network of teachers and it's kind of its own little thing. So she said it was very much a big to do. And the next day, when you pick the person actually that got awarded for the art, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, the Maine Arts Council they accepted a press release that I wrote, and unbeknownst to me, they distributed it what their network probably includes schools. So
Yep.
I was really pleased with that.
So there was a lot of good comments. So
Great.
We did finally get approval to use the Moxie logo this year. We just got that yesterday. And it's an annual basis, so we're going to have to ask for it every year, but at least we have it now.
no, it's a good thing, right?
Right.
You have to make your own if not.
It's only been 30 years, right? 35 years.
Yep.
Anybody else?
Thank you for the update.
Thank you.
Next item?
Under appointments, Order 2019-48, the Recreation Committee, alternate member. We have an application from Christopher Cloutier.
I make that motion to accept.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 5-0.
Next item?
Is Council Communications.
Anybody?
I had one. I was contacted earlier last week just to periodically remind the listening public that the RX drop at the town police department is ongoing. So anybody that has outdated medication that they're looking to get rid of, to get it off the street, to feel free to be able to do so, to drop it off here. It isn't just a one-time deal. So I told the person I would.
Anybody else?
I'd like to thank all our guys in Public Works that are working long nights in this winter to keep our roads safe and open. And I think it's an underappreciated job, so I want to thank you guys for all your hard work.
Okay, next item?
Is audience participation and response for new items?
My name is Christopher Brown. I live at 328 Lisbon Street. I was at the planning board hearing for Triple B Pharmaceutical Alternatives, which is me, last Thursday. They accepted it, which is great. Thank you very much. They gave me they told me they could not give me permission to use easement on Barn Way. I would have to get a letter from Woodside Apartments to actually access Barn Way as an exit. My initial to scale drawing was to have one way coming off from 196, parking at a 45 to the right, pulling out onto Barn Way, and then back out onto 196. I was told I needed permission from, as I said, a notarized letter from Woodside Apartments to actually access that Barn Way. That Barn Way has been there for probably over 30 years, 87 or 88. I've gone back to every owner, even the guy, Ed Bush, who actually gave them an easement back in 87. Everybody I could find that was alive or still in the neighborhood that has owned 387, which has two accesses to Barn Way. Everybody that's had anything to do with the ambulance service, from Bob Robitaille to Lee Gamish to Jim McDonald, even our own town manager, to see if the town of Lisbon, because we actually use it for storage and we actually use that road onto Barn Way as well. And nobody, since Barn Way has been there on either side of that street, has ever needed written permission to use Barn Way, except for me now. And I'd like to know why. Anybody tell me? How about you, Don?
Can't speak. Lou.
Nice. I'd love to see somebody.
Well, I anticipated you might have some questions tonight.
Oh, I bet you did.
So I happened to bring a copy of the deed with the easement with me. And we were very happy when we did our site plan site visit with the look of everything that was there. And we had every intention of approving
that site and that building. However, when we looked at the deed, we discovered that we did not have anything giving him the right of way to that easement or to that piece of property. He had told us that the owner next door said it was okay and there was no problem, and we have no reason to believe that's not the case. But let me just tell you where the objection came from. And by the way, the planning board came up on its own with an alternate plan for him, which was two-way access to the property, which allowed us, in our view, to approve it that night, contingent either upon using that or getting legal access to that right-of-way. That legal access, this is kind of boring to read, but I'm going to read it because it's important. On October 30th, 1989, Ed Bush granted legally an easement to the people who are now, or were at that time, Woodside Housing. And the easement with warranty covenants over and under any real estate situated in the town of Lisbon, basically situated on this property that he owns. This easement shall be for purposes of a way, including but not by way of limitation, all rights of ingress and egress to the rights to install, maintain, operate, repair any and all utilities or utility lines, including without limitation, sewer, water, electric, telephone, cable, television, and other similar utilities and their necessary fixtures and supports, including any all lighting fixtures over and above the property. By acceptance of this easement, the grantee for itself, which is the grantee is Woodside Housing, agrees to construct on the property described on the attached Exhibit A, which is attached here, a roadway including all appurtenances, utilities, and drainage systems in accordance with the specifications of the town of Lisbon. Said right-of-way will be constructed in accordance with local, state, and federal regulations for a private right-of-way, and that grantee, its management agents and assigns shall be responsible for all maintenance of the drive and easement area. Additionally, the lease says, the grantee, Woodside, agrees that upon completion of construction, the right-of-way grantor, the property owner, his heirs and assigns may have all rights of ingress and egress to the premises described in Exhibit A over said way, so long as such use does not obstruct or threaten pedestrian or vehicular traffic and to or from Woodside Apartments. Again, they have the right to tie into the water, they have a right to tie into the sewer, they have a right, the normal conditions for the property. That's what the deed says. The planning board felt that Woodside owned this lease, this easement, and Woodside is responsible for maintaining it. This deed also gives the heirs and assigns of Ed Bush only the right to use this easement if it didn't interfere with Woodside. So therefore, we felt that if Mr. Brunel was to have right to use that easement, he needed permission from Woodside, because they have the easement, they own the easement, and possibly even the property owner. But we advised him that a title attorney was probably his best recourse. And in the meantime, we approved it. We approved it that way. So that's where we came from. That's for our decision. And I would, not that I recommend this, but your source of relief on that particular way we relieved it is the appeals board. So.
May I? Yes. So I guess the question would be is, regardless how it's written, if the permit's granted, which I believe it went through the planning board the other night. I mean, the planning board can't say yay or nay of using that right away. It can be used forever if you want to, right? It's just the idea of the legalities of it comes down to the idea of whether you approve or not. Meaning.
No. The point was, yeah. The point was his one-way driveway.
Correct.
Assumed use of that right away. We can't grant use of that.
No,
right away.
you can't, as a planning board, you can't legally put in a document that you're allowing someone to go over someone else's property without permission or easement.
Correct.
Totally understand that. But with the idea of being approved, as it was, with the two-way exits on in and out on 196, the planning board doesn't have any policing on if the other exits ever used or not. It's just mainly the idea for the legalities of the planning board approving a project. That's the way you actually had to do it to move it forward.
Right.
And from that point forward, if he actually decides to go that way, out the back, to the side, it really doesn't matter to the planning board because basically...
On paper, you're saying two-way out the front.
Yeah, on paper, you're saying if you picked a legal path to make this happen, but to give the permit and finalize and moving forward, regardless what happens at the day, I mean, no matter what happens on the planning board, doesn't change the idea that someone can still go out that same exit they always have for years. It's basically the idea. It's just the legality of the planning board stating this is what we need to do to make this pass.
That's correct. And the only thing that could lead, I mean, a number of things could happen.
Yeah.
Assuming your business is going to be successful, I don't know if you have a parking lot full of people or people start lining up in the middle of the easement to park and then it offends Woodside. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or down the road, if somebody decides to change the easement and say, no, you can't use this thing at all, put up Jersey barriers. You know, they could do anything. But if you get the right of way, if you get it legally, then
My
you
understanding
have
of the
that.
planning board was that if I didn't get a letter that they would not allow me to use that exit, I would only be allowed to use the in and out on 196.
They couldn't
How I
police,
heard
yeah.
it.
They can't police that at all. Basically, the only thing they can do is actually legality-wise. I mean, legally, they couldn't give you the permit using that exit without the documentation. No different than it would be if you put a driveway to the other guy's property on the other side. But once you got the permit going in and out of 196, I mean, there's no one policing saying that you can't go out that driveway or over the lawn or through the woods, however you want to do it. There's nothing the planning board's going to do. There's no parking lot police in town that I know of, unless there's a neighbor that legally actually has a problem with it. But
No, probably not.
The guy next door, Michael Langley Jr., who has owned it for the last 7 or 8 years, who has 2 accesses to it. He's the one who says he owns to my property.
Yeah.
And the easement came with the fact that he bought it and it already had an easement across it.
Yep.
He says he could also grant me an easement if I wanted it, because it is still legally his property. They just have an easement as well.
But if
Because he's already in the process, the guy bought 6.5 acres next to Woodside, which he's getting an easement from Michael Langley Jr., who actually owns the property on the same road that Woodside has tarred.
Yeah. So it sounds like
When they tarred it, they also put in a sidewalk, Woodside Apartments. And imagine that, they put a drop right where my proposed exit is, which has been tarred for over 30 years. And as I've said, nobody has ever had to have a written permission from anybody from Woodside to use it.
So it sounds like you got your. It went through the
permission, yeah.
It went through the planning board.
Absolutely.
And the planning board did what it needed to do legally to make that work.
Yeah.
And from that point on, you can actually pull out any exit you want without any restrictions for anybody.
The only stipulation is that parking lot has to be designed according to the two-way. It can't be designed a one-way, and not without the legal stuff. That's the way it was approved.
Yeah. But it would have to be changed at all as far as for the one-way? I mean, I guess that would be the question.
Well, the design was different for the one-way.
Yeah.
Instead of me having my...
Yeah.
Again, the reason I did it... And again, the way this is read, where you see them white spots here where the parking lot is, I had them all 45'd. And that's so when you come off from 196, you can pull in to the right and park at a 45. This way, when you're done, you can back out into that same lane, pull to that exit, and drive away similar. This way, it's going to be more difficult for somebody to pull in, come all the way up the driveway, and then have to turn their vehicle at a 90-degree, park like this. I mean, parking lot's only so wide.
And that's going to flow the way it's going to flow probably when people start rolling into it, right? But
Come springtime, we have the whole place tarred and it all lined with arrows coming in, all 45'd out. That's why I said this straight-on parking, this would be more apt if you were coming in from over here and exiting over there as far as I was concerned. You'd be coming in on Barn Way, and then you'd find yourself a spot to park, and then you would back out, and then you would leave 196 with whoever's drawing from the planning board did this.
yeah, from the planning board itself actually approved it actually going in and out of 196 or a potential, they did it They did
Could I had to
it,
park like this
yeah.
if I had only one access in and out on 196.
But so it got approved the other night the way it was, but if he was to actually get a written legal
No, it
easement
got
from...
approved that way, also contingent upon legal access to the other property, the other plan would be fine.
Yeah, so if you were to actually get a written document, a legal easement from your neighbor, basically you could actually do anything you want
From
to.
Michael Langley, who claims he owns it, not people who have an easement.
Basically, I don't know how that law plays out, but I would assume if he's paying taxes on it, he is able to actually do something legally with it, but that doesn't always make the way.
Correct.
But
So if I
I'm
get
not a
legal
lawyer by any
access
means.
from Michael Langley Jr.,
Well,
it's all, then I don't have to park my cars like this. I can park them at a 45, correct?
yeah, I can't say legally that way, but I would assume that whatever
I
action...
don't think the town council wants to get into legal.
No,
Yeah,
not
no.
legally wise, but I'm just going the idea that if he was to get legal, if he was legally able to show that legally...
And records it on the deed.
Correct, yeah, legally. If it's legal, that actually
And
shows that he
then-
has permission.
Then you
with
can
on
argue
deed.
over it later. That's what title attorneys do.
There you go, yeah.
Exactly.
Then if that was in place, the planning board wouldn't have any problem actually doing it that way because they have something to actually document it that way, right?
Correct.
It all comes down to documentation.
Yeah.
Proving stuff that's legal.
Spending more money.
And it really doesn't, Chris, it doesn't have a lot to do with logic. It has to do with what's illegal.
Exactly.
You're right, it has not a lot to do with
Let's
logic.
keep this civil.
Thank you very much for your time.
Next item?
Oh, executive session, we have none,
Wait a
so
minute,
it's
is
ordered.
anybody else?
Anybody else want to get up and talk?
Everybody?
Order 2019-49 to adjourn.
Did you want to talk?
No.
Okay.
No.
I need a motion.
Make that motion.
A second it.
All in favor?
Order passes 5-0.
There's a lot of them.
You just passed it right
I
back,
know, right?
so.
This is mine.
5 places to sign.
I have to go look at my own deed.